Next question. I was stupid enough not to enter it, so I'm sorry if I look like I'm looking away from the camera because I'm trying to find it. What are your favorite games in the series? I think I just answered this actually. Um, 1, 2, and 4, and I pretty much linked Dissidia with 1 because they kind of link to each other in a very intricate way if you play the games. And I have seen the entirety of 1. I own it, but I haven't finished it completely. I've seen the entirety of 4, the complete collection too. I just, once again, I don't own it. I own the DS version of 4, but I don't own Final Fantasy 4, the complete collection. That's next. I own both Dissidias, and I own Final Fantasy 2 for the PSP as well. Actually, I think Final Fantasy 2, I recently beat Final Fantasy 2 for I think the second time. Definitely the first time, and I'm starting to replay it, and this time I'm actually getting into the Arcane Labyrinth, so wish me luck. But yeah, Final Fantasy 2 is my favorite game in the series, and people can bash me upside the head for that, tell me all about the graphics and the gameplay and the characters and the story and how they all suck, and you know what, I'll just tell you right now, they actually don't. Um, the graphics pretty much are your standard sprites from Final Fantasy, and if you can sit through Final Fantasy 6, you will sit through Final Fantasy 2, just saying. The gameplay, I got one word for you: Skyrim. If you enjoyed Skyrim, Final Fantasy 2 isn't that different, actually. It's actually pretty much the same, except you don't get to pick a perk. You level up your stats and your abilities. You level up different weapons. You level up different character traits and attributes. You don't have actual levels. I mean, yeah, Skyrim, they do, but here's the thing about Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls series: the leveling up is actually more for perks. What you do is actually very similar to FF2, in which you level up skills. It's not different. So if you enjoyed Skyrim and you say FF2 has a horrible gameplay, I suggest you relook at it. You look at both games very hard. Um, Another big draw for me for the game was actually the characters and the story. Okay, yeah, they were really flat and they weren't exactly, top notch. It's not like this is gonna be Shakespeare, but you really gotta understand that this was 1988 and Final Fantasy had just saved Square Enix, the original Final Fantasy. This was a year later, and they had to do something different. So they made different gameplay, and they actually did try and make a story, a coherent story that wasn't bad guy kidnap princess, bad guy go through time loop, bad guys try to kill you. It's not like that. So they did do some creative stuff, and some of the characters actually came out really good, some not so great. I think the biggest complaints that that I've seen around characters are actually pointed toward Gordon and Borgin, which I really don't mind too much, because those two, I mean, I love Borgin. I mean, I'm Gordon. Ugh, I hate Borgin. Nope. I have his muse, but I hate him. But Gordon's actually kind of adorable, and once again, the precursor to the Spoony Bard. But he's not, the greatest character, especially as a playable character. Not the greatest. So, blah. And then somehow in third place, it's really mixed after that, but I know those two are really hated. And people seem to also have this giant obsession with making Firion, Mateus, and Minwu look like sluts. I don't know why. It's because they're pretty... I don't know. Don't care. It's like they're not sluts. The end. Oh, and if you think and if you think I'm ever gonna pair with one of those three, you're dead wrong. I'm not pairing with those three, not in a million years. Leon does not... I mean, I could maybe, just the tiniest stretch do Minwu. But if you're throwing Mateus and Firion at me and thinking I'm going to ship them, you're wrong. I'm not. I hate those ships. Those ships can burn. Um, but yeah, that's what I do adore Final Fantasy II a lot. And actually, a giant draw for me for getting muses from Final Fantasy II and playing it through was actually getting getting to use my imagination on some parts, like using Leon as an example. It's obvious that back in 88 they wanted you to hate your villains. Okay, so we got the stuck-up tyrant, the arrogant tyrant. um we got the slimy greedy, sorry, the slimy greedy traitor. And then we've got the anti-hero, anti-villain who just, he's evil and then he's good. And it's like he's evil and then he comes back to your party and yay. So that's pretty much the basic stereotypes there. But here's my thing. They've never updated that. Not in Final Fantasy II. In Dissidia, they did a really good job with the Emperor. I will tell you that. But honestly, a lot, and you can't really do much with Borgin because, come on, he kills Joseph. And that's not a spoiler. I don't think it should be at this point. Because the game's almost 25 years old, and if most people can say Minwu died, or Ricard died, or Scott died, or something like that, you could say Joseph died. The end. But yeah, using Leon as an example, they didn't update him at all. A lot of his dialogue is very one-dimensional at best. I actually memorized the speech that he made at Palamecia from the GBA and the PSP version, and it's really, really just, it's not good. It's dead. He's talking about how how power rules the world and how he has power now, so he will rule the world, and it's not good. I mean, you can kind of get some stuff off it, but once again, that's my imagination going and pretty much putting a character to him. He didn't apologize after he came back. He never showed any affection to Maria, Farian, or Guy. He never really showed how much he actually hated Borgin and the Emperor. He never showed any of that. So, I put that in there. It's like I did that with my muse, because I felt that he could have emotions other than evil psychosis or brooding angst. He has more than that. So, he's human, so there you go. That's what my muse is all about. Let's keep on going with these questions. I think I got two more. What are some of your favorite heroes and villains from the games? Would it be a surprise if I said Farian and the Emperor? I don't think it would. But, heroes aside from Farian, besides Farian, and this is from games I've played, so, and I mean played, like I've actually watched it, played it, had it in my hands. So, unfortunately, FF9, which I have yet to play, but FF9, 11, and 13 will actually be off limits on this. I'm sorry. 13-2 is different, but 13, I've never played it. As far as heroes go, besides Farian, I'd have to say Cecil. As much as people think he's actually, I actually kind of like it. It's like his character, yeah, some of his lines are a little flowery, but it's not like and some of his speech can be a little, but it's not bad. Other heroes would actually be Bartz and Terra, and that's not because I've roleplayed with both muses pretty much the entire time I've had Leon. It's because I actually have played those two games recently, and I adore them. Luneth is another one. Yeah, I did just pretty much name everyone but the Warrior of Light, because Warrior of Light's kind of just, I like him as a character, I just don't like him that much. I do like the others, though, because they actually have personality and style, and, You can actually adore them. And it's like you'll root for Warrior of Light, but it's pretty basic. It's like he's pretty basic, and I don't know. He's not exactly what I want. Um, as for the newer characters, Tidus will always be my first, so he'll always be my favorite, and then Squall on top of that. Yeah, I said it. I like Tidus and Squall as characters. Hell, I like Cloud as a character. You can shoot me for that, but I like the original FF7 Cloud as a character and a hero. Do what you want to me. Flame me if you want, but that's mine. Yeah, so them. Let's see. Villains. I've got like a shit list. Sorry, I've got a ton of them. So let's get through this. Like I said, Emperor Mateus. That's a big one. Contrary to Warrior of Light, I do like Garland a lot, especially in Dissidia. Dude is just evil incarnate, and I love him. Golbez, love him. I actually have yet to get to Exdeath in Final Fantasy V, but from what I can tell, from what I've seen, he's not that bad, and crack with him is really fun, so what can I say? I don't really like Cloud of Darkness that much. I mean, yeah, she's sexy, but there's a difference between sexy and, believable, so, eh. Kefka is freaking amazing. I'm not that big on Sephiroth. No, I'm not one of those fangirls who will fight to the death for Kefka, or Sephiroth. I don't care who you ship, I don't care who you go for, as long as it does make somewhat of a sense, and as long as you don't defend it with your life. So, yeah. Flame Wars, shipping wars can go away. Ultimatia's pretty good. Kuja I love. Final Fantasy X villains, as far as I know two of them very well, Jecht and Seymour. Love them both as villains. 12... I actually do like Vayne, and I like a lot of the judges too. They're actually really good. And like I said, 13 too, Caius Ballad. Nope. Actually, fun fact, Caius Ballad is voiced by the same guy as Kane Highwind, and his whole look was based off of Leon. So, two anime crushes of mine getting together and having some kind of hybrid villain? Count me in! He's mine! I love you, Caius. Love you. Okay, but, yeah. And outside of that, you got your anti-heroes, your anti-villains, you got your support characters and everything, and out of those, obviously my favorite would be Leon. And then there's a ton of others, but I'd probably be here for the next 5 years explaining all of them. So yeah.